Hello, and welcome to Learn Python 3 the Hard Way, exercise 35, where we do branches and functions. As you can tell, the whole pattern of this book is to teach you a thing and then teach you how to use that thing in other situations or with other things. So in this case, we're learning how to do if statements and while loops with functions. Now, I picked a while loop as sort of like a way to show you the one way we use a while loop. Remember I said while true is kind of the one way you use it. Now this exercise is a bit bigger than the other exercises you've done. And I think the total lines is, let me just see, 75. So it's a big jump, and it's something you should really try to work on for a while. This isn't the kind of thing where you're going to sit there and do it all in one shot either. So I'm going to talk about how best to enter this in, and I'm going to give you sort of like some guidance on getting it up and running. Now, the worst way to do it would be to start at the very top, maybe just start at the very first line, and to type all this text in and then try to make it work. Now you could try that if you wanted to do a pattern of typing all the text in and then trying to run it, and like doing what we said before where you type it in and then you double, triple, quadruple check it to make sure it's right, and make a game out of trying to confirm that what you've written is correct before you run it, keeping track of how many times and how many errors you get. But a better way to do it is to do sort of an outline. So I would do this. I would have each of these functions like this. Okay. These are the different separate rooms. Okay. And then you have this bit of a skeleton. You maybe even start off with just that. You're in a dark room. Okay, so you've got just kind of the skeleton of the thing. And then run it, Python ex35.py. Okay, that's all you have, right? So then you get just the start to maybe ask for the choice. Okay? Okay, and it says a choice. Okay, then you get this working, this if statement. Okay? So now we have that if statement, we're going to go left. Okay, there's a bear here. So that's just the bear room. Okay, and let me see, did I implement which one? Yeah, the bear room. Okay, and then you get the bear room going into, I would do like maybe up to the while loop and just get that working. That's going to loop forever. So we go left. And then we go blah, 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 blah. It's going to sit there forever, okay? You hit Control-C to abort that. Or Control-D if you're on OS 10 or Linux might also work better. Okay, and then once I had that, I would make these. Get all that to work. And then test each one. So I might just do just this. Just that much. And then I would get this next elif to work. Let me just do that one more time. Get just this to work. And then get just this to work. And then finally, the rest of it to work. Then up to the gold room and do the same thing. Only do that much of the gold room. And then get the first if statement to work. And then get the next to work. So what you're doing is you're doing this incrementally. You're typing in just enough to get some working, just enough to get things going, right? And make sure that part's working. Then just a little more to get that next part working. Then just a little more to get the next part working. If you do that, this is manageable. And one thing you should figure out about this book is I'm trying to teach you also the idea that you can solve problems by breaking, like big problems, by breaking them down into a sequence of smaller problems. So this whole book is breaking down the problem of learning to code into a sequence of smaller problems that eventually teach you to code. So you can apply the same logic to any large programming problem. You figure out the large programming problem, you break it down into small problems, and then you solve each small problem. Okay, so once we have that, let's try playing the number. Let's go left and how you're going to move the bear. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to read how to move the bear. Taunt bear. Oh, no, we got to make the bear move first. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Taunt bear. The bear has moved from the door. Okay. And then open door. Okay, so now we're up here. And then this is actually kind of a bug. So there's a study drill for that, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But let's say I'm going to take how much gold? 100. You greedy bastard. All right, so that's me running through the little game. And so what you can do is you can actually do this on your own, and you can run it in little bits and pieces as you do it. Okay, now for breaking it, tons of places you can break it, all over the place. Basically go through every possible thing, getting the while loop wrong. You could come in and the bugs you should focus on are try to do logic bugs. What happens if you do or here? What happens if you do, each of these things? What happens when you run these? And what can you break? What happens when you don't do this one? Right? Logic bugs are very, very difficult to debug, so it's good to get practice at them. Next up, this here is not the best way to do this. So you already know you can do this. We want to get an integer from the user, right? Okay. All right, so the puzzle is, how do I tell that someone did not type in a number? So if you want to solve that, right? Let's go left and taunt bear and open door, and then I'm going to type in that. Okay, so we get this error, and you've maybe ran into this in the past if you were trying to do it. Okay, so this is sort of a expand your horizons kind of quiz or puzzle. How are you going to solve that puzzle? I want you to research, try to figure it out, see if you can do it. Stop the video now and try to figure that out. And then after this spot, I'm going to give the solution. Okay, so solution time. So there's probably the easiest way, and you have not been taught this. So this is why it's sort of like a tricky, evil question, right? Is you do try except, just like that. So try except makes it so you can check if something is like you can catch an error. So you see all these like value errors that you have, or all these errors, you can actually catch those and you can stop them. So we can come in here, and I'm just doing a very simple one. Normally you would make this a little more complicated. And so then you would say, you would change this up. You would do, the choice is already going to be int. So come up here and we can do this. Oh wait, actually we can go like this. How much? Okay, we don't need that. And then take that and do that. All right. Now we've cut some of the code. We've sort of changed it around. So let's try this. Go left, taunt bear, bear, open door, and the room is full of gold. Man, learn to type a number. Now, if you saw me do that and you're like, what? Don't worry about it. It's meant to be sort of a puzzle for you to try to figure it out. If you didn't solve it, it doesn't mean you're a terrible programmer or you're doing bad at the book. It's just another one of those little jumps, a little challenge for you to try to see if you can figure out how to do something that you haven't really ran into before. There's other ways to do this. There's a few ways to check if a string is integers. Just look around. This isn't the only solution, okay, but this is usually the best one that you can do. It's the most straightforward, and it's a new feature. Try and accept. All right. So debugging this. The usual debugging would apply. So you'd have your debug printing, you do that, and there's not a lot of things you're keeping track of in here. So you would just track when people enter rooms. But honestly, a lot of the debugging in here is going to be all about the variables. So if you say like this, well, that's pretty much going to be that, and yep, there is a bear here. So a big one would be tracking bear moved between while loops. So I would have things like this. bear moved equals bear moved. Okay. And so I would have something like that. So when I ran that loop, if I was getting that loop wrong, right, I go left, I know on each iteration, taunt bear, okay, I know that that's changing. I can see it. So I can do taunt bear, okay, and it tells me what was going on. So that was one of the big ones where people have to figure out, like, why is there a while loop? Why is this if inside the while loop wrong? Okay, so that's the end of exercise 35. I would spend some time on this one and see what you can get done, and then, just take little cracks at it until you finally solve the whole thing. All right, see you at the next exercise.